Thank you, Laura and Dr. Haneesha, for this wonderful episode. I have a few questions of mine as well. I too am very curious, and I always want to know how exactly um, we can do our best in being good human beings, I would say. So the question goes for either of you. Can you please tell me, for a layman, what does the syndrome 5p minus mean?
In layman's terms, I always explain that 5p minus, it's a deletion of part of one of our chromosomes, chromosome number 5. That's why it's called 5p minus. And it causes delayed physical and neurological developments. And it's on a spectrum. So depending on how big the deletion is, it could be that the internal organs don't form well and there are many physical challenges, or it could be as mild as people have it and they don't know. And it's something that is not necessarily 90%, it's not hereditary. It is rare. It's 1 in 50,000 children born with it. And it manifests for Alexander, for example, in that his balance is not so great. He has had to learn to walk. He's not quite running yet, but he will get there. He has learned to jump. So for him, everything physical has been with a lot of work. Even speaking has been a lot. So he's a child that does a lot of effort to do a lot of things. And I think one of the best ways for anybody encountering him is being curious in a positive way, because I have seen looks that are like, what's that? Who is this? And a withdrawal. But then those who are curious and come in and ask questions and get to know him better actually are fascinated by what they see. A lot of the neurotypical children at this school are amazed by him because they're curious and they ask questions, and if Ali can't answer, the learning support assistant answers, to the point where Ali begins to model it, for example. So being curious, and not just with Ali, but any child that you recognize as a neurodivergent, asking a question. If you're uncomfortable asking the carer with them, may I ask a question? And sometimes the carer will say yes or no. Our helpers, our learning support assistants, they know their scripts because they get asked a lot and I've shared with them. But some people mightn't, and don't hold it against them. Just be courageous to ask. Curious.
Well, yes, curiosity, yes, but sometimes it's the courage or the lack of language or the appropriate terms that we should use. That's what stops us, or at least most of us. It certainly stops me. And I'm very grateful for you and your courage to share with us your experience that is so valuable and helping us out. You mentioned in the episode the theory of spoons. What is that theory?
Okay. So this is the theory that we all start our day with a certain number of spoons in a jar. So imagine I have a jar and I have all my spoons. And every time I do something, a task, or there is an emotional expression or something that happens, and it could be very overt or very internal, I take a spoon out because I've expended that energy for that. And the further I go along, the less spoons I have, the less bandwidth I may have, or the ability I have to do things that others expect me to do the way they expect it to be done. And so at some point, especially for neurodivergent individuals, their spoons run out very quickly because their brains are just wired so differently to other people's brains, right? So when they get to that point, there is a possibility that they suffer quite a lot, and, it comes out on the outside. Some people might call it a meltdown. Some people might call it they need to be by themselves, whatever it is. But it's just understanding that they think differently, their brains are wired differently. And, I love the spoon theory because sometimes I have to say in the middle of the day, my spoons are out, and admit to myself, I need to go find a way to recharge, even if I can do that.
Can you also let us know, for those of us who don't know, what is the sunflower lanyard?
Right. So you will probably see this mainly in the Dubai International Airport. We use ours out in public as well. It's a beautiful green lanyard with yellow sunflowers on it. And this is a symbol that the person wearing it has invisible support needs. I wouldn't necessarily say in disabilities because many neurodivergents never count their support needs as a disability, and that they need to be helped differently. So they may be overwhelmed by bright lights, loud sounds, too many people around. So they need a little bit of help, different kind of help to other people around them. And that's just a very beautiful and subtle way of people understanding that this individual needs support differently.
You also mentioned that your circle of care was carefully chosen by you because of the data that you had and the information that you share and what you get back. How did you find Dr. Haneesha then?
Okay. So we were very blessed because Ali was diagnosed at the age of 1. He was the first infant that the neurologist we had seen. And don't get me wrong, he was doctor number 9. We had seen many other pediatricians and other clinical specialists before we got to that neurologist. And because I felt that having a multidisciplinary team in one space was what benefited us the most, because we had very complex comorbidities, co-occurring conditions. It was through that space that when she had joined that clinic that she came on board and ironically became the person kind of directing the whole team. So she would speak to the speech therapist, the occupational therapist, the physiotherapist, and be part of that. And we would feed back into, I was the center point, but she was also the medical center point for us because that's what we needed at the time. And I'll be very honest, here in Dubai, I think the terminology of a neurodevelopmental and behavioral pediatrician is new for us, but it is such an amazing thing to explore if you haven't already.
So if you could share your experience about Dr. Haneesha, what would that be?
I think because I'm so frank and I like to ask questions, and she wasn't afraid of my questions. I come to her office with a little notepad of all the questions I have for her. As much as we look for a professional who is well-versed and has a reputation, I think some people call it bedside manner. We're not at a bedside. It's respect for the parent is what I think many doctors are learning. I have seen professionals in this city change their tone and how they deal with, because in the old days, people would come to a physician and say, help me, and we take everything wholesale. Now with technology and ChatGPT, and I know it annoys some doctors, we come with questions measured. We put a little bit more thought into it. And there have not been very many service providers that I have met that stayed with us who were able to counter or answer my questions and help us to work it into the fabric, because this is a fabric that we're all weaving together. So collaboration was something else. That was one of my standards of the service providers we work with.
Thank you so much, Laura. And now my question to you, Dr. Haneesha. So you have worked with Laura. You also called her on your podcast. Tell me, what is that one thing that you see in Laura that has made you choose her to come to your podcast, and how is it working with her and Ali?
I would say the strength Laura has shown, being that strong pillar for Ali and the connector that she is. I have worked with a lot of families with rare genetic conditions and neurodivergent families who are a lot more. But something which I've truly admired about Laura is how she comes in and sometimes questions that, okay, this is a suggestion you're giving me, but how about we take it up in this way? So there's a lot of research that goes in, there's a lot of thought process that goes in, and truly putting herself as that strong pillar in the center and trying to connect all the hands that are helping Ali to be as well knit together in supporting him truly achieve his best potential.
Laura did mention that with ChatGPT and Google, most of the doctors do get annoyed. Are you one of them?
No, I'm actually really, thrilled because I'm not a very tech savvy person. And sometimes when parents come in with questions, I'm like, oh, what prompt do you use? So I could use it the next time to, learn more about things that I'm not aware of. So not really. I really admire the, tech savvy things that they teach us.
Ladies, thank you so much for your time. Such valuable information that you have shared with us. I wish you all the best in everything you do. And we give Ali also lots of love from our side. Thank you.